Good evening, SportsZonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aguilera. I am your host, and I am joined by Dave Hastings to start the show. For this is SportsZone, coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 and Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. Dave, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Mike. Doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. It's been a long week, and it's going to get any longer, but I'm ready to have a good time right now. So, I do believe we have a lot to talk about tonight. How about we get started? The NBA Finals has been interesting so far. I know we talked last week where we thought the Raptors might be able to sneak a couple games out, but did you think they'd come out as strong as they did in Game 1?
No, I was actually kind of surprised. I thought if they were going to win one of the first two games in Toronto, I actually thought it would be Game 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that they took Game 1 kind of did surprise me. But, look, all in all, I just don't really see how they were able to beat Golden State. I mean, Kawhi's shooting like 36% from the field. So even with the games he's putting up, he's not really being as efficient. And when you give Golden State more possessions, it's going to beat you.
Yeah. Well, they definitely got the injuries going on their side, too. Now you got Klay Thompson, who I guess is I don't think he's been ruled out, but he's questionable for Game 3. Durant's still out for Game 3. Iguodala's battling for an injury. And you got Kevin Looney, who's out for the season with, I think it was collarbone or rib. I can't remember what it was. I thought it was collarbone. And then I heard someone say rib this morning. So I'm not sure about that. But we have Eric Tressler here tonight as well. Eric, how you doing?
Better than the Warriors. But
yeah. Oh, that's good. But I'll say this. I think even with the injuries, I think it's going to be very hard for the Raptors to duplicate what they did in Game 1. And, win this series. And I'll say this, because we spent a lot of time talking about Kawhi Leonard last week. I'm going to butcher this last name, but how about Pascal Siakam? I think is how you pronounce that?
Siakam, yep.
There you go. All right, so I got that right. 32 points in Game 1. He's been incredible this whole season. I don't know that he duplicates what he did in Game 1 again, though. What do you guys think? And Eric, let's go to you because I know you just get it.
I could care less. Until Steph pulls a hammy and, I don't know, Draymond breaks something, I'm still the Warriors to lose. Klay, I think he'll play hurt. And as far as Siakam goes, he's playing great, but I still just don't think they're going to have enough over the course of, even if this gets pushed 7, I just don't think they have enough in the tank. And, Kawhi's great, but Golden State's just better right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, bottom line is if they won Game 2 and kept home court advantage, I'd say they have a chance to push it to 7. But with them splitting the 2 in Toronto, you got to keep in mind these are the last games that are going to be played in Oracle Arena, right? I think that's where Golden State plays.
Yeah, no, you're right.
These are the last games. That stadium's done for Golden State after this. So, I mean, you got to keep that in mind as well. Those fans are going to be even more hyped. It's going to mean something to the players. I mean, Klay, Draymond, Steph, they're all homegrown players on that team. So that stadium's been their home for a couple of years now. So I think by losing the home court advantage, this won't even go. This might go maybe Game 6, but that'll be it.
I'm more inclined now than I was last week to say it's going to go to 6 games. I think they'll take that Game 5 when it goes back to Toronto. But what you said about them wanting to finish out strong in the Oracle, I definitely agree with that, and I definitely think they close it out in Game 6 in the Oracle. Great way to close that arena out in style. Final thoughts, Eric?
No, wait. Whoa.
Go ahead.
I mean, I know that the Warriors have had a nice 5-year run here. But let's not make the Oracle seem like some magical building that is in sports lore that people knew about. Nobody gives a damn about the Oracle Center.
I don't.
They're winning
Their
some
fans
championships
do.
in recent years. Come on. What kind of – their fans are fair weather fans. They're around for winning now. They're
Oh, come on.
I don't know how
remember that
special
series
the
they played
Oracle
with Baron
really is.
Davis
I
when
think
they beat Dallas in the first round at the 8th seed? That stadium was rocking.
I'm not saying it's not rocking. I'm just saying I don't think it's iconic enough to deserve any kind of send-off or any kind of real, like, oh, my God, I can't believe it, like, type response.
Well, I think for the fans it'll be that way.
Nah.
But here's the thing. I don't think it's necessarily that it's this magical ballyhoot arena. I mean, Eric, you're right. I wouldn't put it in the same class with, like, the Staples Center or Madison Square Garden or anything like that. I just think it's the fact that it's not just that they're closing the arena. They're moving to San Francisco next year. So they're not even going to be in Oakland next year. So I think it is, like Dave said, just a case where you want to close it out on a high note for the fans who have supported them, not just through this run, but definitely through the lean years. Because remember, Dave, you brought up the series with Baron Davis. All right, fine. But in like the 10, 15 years before that, this team was basically a joke for the longest time. They had to go through a lot of stuff to build it up. I mean, the early 90s days of Chris Mullin, Mitch Richmond, I can't remember who the third guy was. I should remember that. But those days were a long time removed from them when that Baron Davis thing happened. And even then.
Chris Webber? Are you talking about Webber?
No, Weber wasn't with the team yet. It was someone else. I can't remember who it was. This is early.
Hardaway?
Yes, there you
Hardaway?
go. Yes, very good. Thank you. Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin. That was a big three in the early 90s. And so they had that good run. Then it was about, 15 years until the Baron Davis thing happened. And then it was still about 10 years until this sport came together. So those fans went through a lot. And I think closing it out on a good note for those fans is what's important. But just because you're saying that doesn't make it one of those magical buildings. I don't really think that enters into it. I think it's just about closing it out on a good note.
Yeah, I mean, I won't argue with that. I'm not trying to say it's MSG or, something like that. But
Yeah.
I was just saying for the fans, I think you're going to have that extra energy. And Steph and, Clay and Draymond all started their careers there. So it's going to mean something to them. That's really all I'm getting at. I agree. It's not MSG. It's not one of, the Staples Center. Like, it's not something like that. But I'm just saying it's going to mean something for those fans.
Yeah. So we have Eric Pfeiffer in the chat right now. I'm hoping he can hear it now because I did see you note that he couldn't hear anything. But, yeah. So, I mean, to pivot from that, unless anybody else has any other basketball thoughts they'd like to bring up, Dave, Eric.
No, I mean, listen, with him here, we should be talking hockey.
Well,
it's 2-2 right now in the series. Boston
I was
and
gonna
St. Louis.
say, yeah, let's do that because we're at 2-2 between the Blues and the Bruins. I guess the Bruins lost Zdeno Chara at least for Game 5. Has he been ruled out for the series, or is this just for the next game?
I think it's a series. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah. So you guys have probably been watching this series a little bit more than I have. What have you seen so far? What do you like? What do you favor for the rest of the series? Eric, I guess.
I'll be honest. I'm just tired of seeing Boston teams win championships at this point. So I'm pulling for the Blues.
Pulling for the Blues. All right. Dave, what do you say there?
I mean, honestly, I've watched a pretty heavy chunk of it, and the fact that the Blues have it at 2-2 is almost mind-blowing to me because when you watch it, Boston just looks like the better team, in my opinion. And really, the games are really good. I mean, Game 3 was just you couldn't watch it. I mean, it was 5-1 and like by halfway through the second period. So that one was just kind of dominated by Boston, especially with the power play. But one of the things that they pointed out last night was going into last night's game, Boston was 32 of 34 against the power play. So, I mean, to think that this team, faces 34 power plays and only gave up 2 goals. I mean, that's really impressive. Both teams are scrappy. It's a great series. It's physical. But I just think Boston looks like the better team, and I really do give credit to the Blues for being able to have the series at 2-2 and the best of 3. And that's kind of one of the things that makes hockey so entertaining is, it can really just flip in a matter of a split second. And it's been a great time to watch it. It really has been. I've been enjoying it. I've enjoyed it more than the finals so far.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's been a crazy week for me, so I haven't really had a chance to do anything hockey-wise. But, I mean, I'll say this about the Boston thing. I think we brought it up a couple weeks ago. Nobody in New York or New Jersey wants to see Boston win their 3rd consecutive title in the 3rd consecutive sport. But I will say once again, I just think it's impressive to see one sports city have 3 consecutive teams in the same year win it. And I don't think that's something that's going to be replicated anytime soon, truthfully. So, I mean, to see something like that's a very rare thing. So, I do give them credit as a whole to be able to do that, even if it is with a city that we don't like.
Screw Boston.
Eric?
I'm with you there. Screw Boston. They've won enough lately. I'm over them.
Yeah.
Let's go Blues. Like you said, even though Boston may look, to piggyback off of what Dave was saying, Boston does look like, the better team on the ice most of the time. The Blues just keep finding ways, and, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it going 7. I can see it, and I'm rooting for it. I don't know. I don't see the finals in the NBA going 7, so I'm rooting for one game 7 at least.
Yep, true. And we'll throw out what everybody's saying in the chat right now. Fife is saying that the Blues remind him of the Kings of 2011 with the worst to first. I know Cousin David back in the chat after a couple weeks. St. Louis Blues equal the best Cinderella team ever, which I don't know about that. There have been some really good Cinderella teams in the past. So. Weren't they, and he asked the question, weren't they in last place at one point, which Fife did confirm. And Eric, Dave, you had brought up the thing about the goalie. I don't think the goalie is as good. Fife confirming not as dominant. So we have that. And what is it? Bennington came in midway through the season, never lost 3 games in a row after being named starter, which is impressive for a rookie. So we have that. Any other thoughts on the series?
If you can find time to watch it, you got to watch it. I mean, these teams.
Yeah, Mike, watch that over the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm with Dave. Watch it over the NBA right now. It's just more entertaining. It really is. Like, I don't know.
Well, Thursday at 8 o'clock looks to be Game 5, so I will definitely see what I could do about that. I get to work a bunch of overnights this week, so I have that going for me. I actually get to work tonight after we get off the air here, which is so much fun. So much fun. Well, I tell you what, we got Eric here. Eric, I want to go to baseball real quick, Dave. I promise we will not stay on this that long. Now, I like Clint Frazier as a player, but what is going on with this kind of media circus that is going on around him? Coming off of his defensive miscues Sunday night, then he didn't want to talk to the media after the game. So he's been getting hammered on WFAN for it the last 2 days. What are your thoughts on all this?
My thoughts are he had a 2-run home run tonight, so I'm just fine with him.
Yeah.
I think that he's young. He, made some errors. He cost the team the game, and he was upset. He didn't feel like talking to the media, so he told him to go screw that night. Was it the right move? Probably not. Would I have liked to have seen him maybe own up to it a little more? Be like, hey, listen, I put that on me. I got to get a little better defensively, tighten some things up. He took a little different approach, but again, he's young. He's just early 20s. I can't fault him. Things happen, and he's a solid ball player. He'll get better defensively, but his bat could be lethal at times, and tonight's just another example of that when he had a 2-run home. They're losing 4-2, but, did put those two up on the board.
Yeah. Now, last baseball point, and then we can move on to something else here. Because with the draft starting yesterday, the draft pick compensation comes off of Craig Kimball and Dallas Keuchel in terms of if they get signed, what another team has to give up for them. And from what I've heard, the Yankees and the Braves are the two front runners for Keuchel. Do you expect them to sign him within the next week?
I expect somebody to. I guess the Yankees, I mean, you could always use more pitching. I don't care what anybody says, but it would be a sign that maybe they want to hold it out Severino for the rest of the year. They could also maybe, option Herman down to the minors late in the year to save him on innings. They've already talked about maybe putting an innings limit on him. So, I mean, they have some options. I think it'd be worth it to bring him in for the rest of the year. But I don't think it would be worth it at the wrong price, or if it was more than just the rest of this year. So they have some decisions to make because they could also go out at the deadline and trade for somebody like a Bumgarner or any of the other names you're hearing on the list, the Scherzer or whoever. So they have options. So I don't know if they necessarily need to, but you can never have enough pitching. So. He does have playoff experience, big game experience, so it might be worth picking him up. Plus, he hasn't pitched at all yet this year, so pretty much, you're getting him for 2/3 of the year, so you don't have to worry about him being a tired arm when the postseason comes around. So there's some positives to it. I'd be interested too to see where Kimball goes. So I've been hearing like the Cubs have some interest. There's some other teams interested in him, and he could be he might be able to help somebody who's in a playoff push. So be interested to see where both of them sign, but I expect both of them to sign by next week. But I've been wrong about this all season. I expected Machado and Harper to sign much earlier than they did too. So who knows? Maybe it drags out, but I think something will get done.
Yeah, I think the biggest question mark with the two of them is, there's two of them. How long will it take them to get back into game shape, and will they be able to perform up to their standards for the rest of the season? Because we've seen it before with guys who signed mid-year. The one that I can think of, you guys actually did a few years ago with Stephen Drew. They signed mid-season, and they're never really able to regain their previous season form. So I think those are the big question marks for any team that's going to sign them, Yankees included. So you got that. But, Dave, I tell you what, I know you had to sit through that. So where would you like to go next? What stuck out to you this past week?
Outside of I was really into the NHL playoffs for the most part. But other than that, Tiger had a good round last weekend, fought his way back and finished in the top 10. Little warm-up round before the next major coming up because golf changed how they're doing majors and now have they doing them basically every month. So I think, that's kind of exciting. Maybe he has a better major than he did the last one because, man, that was just horrible. So, yeah, that was something that stuck out to me, that's for sure.
Yeah. Eric?
When is the next major? Is it next weekend?
I think it's 2 weeks. I think it's
2 weeks.
Yeah, not this coming weekend, the following.
Okay.
All right. Well, I tell you what, sticking with sports we don't normally talk about.
Well, hold on. Yo, Fife wants to know about the drama surrounding OBJ in Cleveland. I haven't really heard anything. I heard about the running back with some drama, but
yeah, Duke Johnson. I was actually trying to stall while I looked up what he was talking about because I hadn't heard anything about it either. So,
well, I guess he didn't show up to OTA. It's kind of like a Le'Veon Bell situation, where we traded for you, and Kitchens came out and was like, "Oh, well, we thought we'd see." They asked him about him not being there, and he made some backhanded comment about, "Oh, well, it'd be nice to see him," or something like that. And so yeah, there's been a little drama there, but as far as I know, he did show up to the mandatory OTAs today. I think Bell did too, so I think everybody's on track there. And Yeah, no, it's OBJ being OBJ. So that's why we got rid of him, because he does those kind of things. He's going to come in and do those kind of things. He's going to get the guys on the team doing more things like that rather than being in there working. They're going to be out there partying somewhere. You know, I don't know. I'm happy he's gone. In my opinion, I'm sure he'll do well. He is a fantastic player. He's going to put up, yardage. He's going to make a ton of catches. He's going to play well, but in the end, I just don't know if he's the guy that you're going to end up winning with.
Mm. And I'm seeing a quote from Baker Mayfield, because I guess it was that he skipped OTAs last month. And Dave, like you said, he just reported today. The quote from Mayfield is, a professional is going to be a professional. He's going to train how he wants. That's an elite athlete. That's how he does his stuff. You've got to believe and trust in that. You've got to trust him to be able to show up when he needs to and be there for his team. I just know him, and that's the type of guy he is. He's going to be here when he needs to. Which, all right, fine, but this is always a debate, because the thing about the professional, yeah, you're there when you have to be there, but I think part of the clean slate and the fresh start is showing that you're willing to sacrifice a little bit more for your team. And I get that someone like Odell, you can question a lot of things about it, but you can't question what he puts in training wise. Like, I don't really believe that he was sitting around reading books and just partying the entire time he was supposed to be at OTAs. He probably was training on his own. But it's still part of, you're in a new franchise, you want a new start. You got the new start and everything. You probably should have put a better foot forward and showed up to the voluntary workouts just to show that, you're going to put the right foot forward. That's just my opinion, at least.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all a matter of perspective. But if he's showing up for when he's supposed to show up and he's doing his job, but kind of like Fife mentioned in the chat room, like him or Landry start feeling underused, or you end up in a situation where they're not winning games, like that could be a dangerous mix of players.
Well, I'll say this. I was going to write this in the chat, but I'll just say it now. Him and Landry are friends, though, so I think the benefit from that is they might get a little ornery if they don't get enough, but it's not like they're going to be infighting amongst themselves for like who leads the team in receptions. Because I can see both of them just being happy for each other leading the team. I think it's a situation where if the offense as a whole isn't performing, then you might have an issue. But I don't really think you're going to see infighting between the two of them for most touches.
Well, yeah, I don't see them going to blows with each other, but still.
Yeah. Eric?
I don't think their offensive line is going to be as good this season as it was last season. That being said, I also think it's Baker Mayfield's second season. So, it's sometimes the sophomore blues. I don't know if he's going to come out like gangbusters. He has all the weapons around him to do, but that's what scares me is a little bit of what Dave said a second ago of what happens if for some reason he has an off game, throws 3 interceptions, those guys have 2 catches apiece for 30 yards, and they lose, 17-3. What's going to happen in that locker room? What's going to happen if now you have 2 games like that?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, every game like that is just going to poison their minds a little more and a little more. So, Mayfield's got to come in on top of his game. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback. I expect him to have an okay second season. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you do hear somebody complaining by the end of the year that they didn't get the ball enough.
Mm. Yeah. Well, we've said the whole time it's going to be very interesting to watch this Browns team this year. And I'm not ready to hand them the division just yet, even though I know they've done the most in terms of putting talent on the field out of everyone in the division. But I do think chemistry is going to be something to watch on that team. So, like I said, I'm not ready to hand them the division just yet. And we've kind of said that all off season. So. And I want to give a shout out to something Fife had said earlier in the chat room. I'm trying to find the quote here. It's not college anymore. Once money gets involved, personalities change, which I think is a very fair point. So, Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
I just love Fife's one comment. I used to root for the Browns to win one. Now I don't want to see it. That's just great. That's so great.
Well, I'll tell you this. With all these guys they brought in, that stigma of the Browns being the lovable losers, as much as they haven't won anything, you can't really put it on them like that anymore because technically they should be able to win with what they have. So I do think that part of it definitely comes out of it this year, and the expectations are going to be off the charts, which is crazy when you consider that the Browns haven't done anything in the 20 years that they've been back. So you're going to see a whole new set of expectations. This is a different Browns stigma around it than you've seen in years past. So there's that. Eric, yeah, they were 7-8-1 last year. To cousin David in there. Eric, you there? All right. Dave, you have anything else you'd like to bring up? Anything else that stuck out to you this week?
I mean, I just saw across the ticker Trent Williams starting left tackle for Washington. Didn't show up to mandatory OTAs. Says he wants a new contract. But I mean, honestly, that we're gonna get plenty of those stories as the next couple of weeks unfold.
Yeah. I tell you what, sticking with football, Navarro Bowman has retired. I guess he signed one of them one-day contracts to end his career with the Niners. I've always been a fan of Navarro Bowman. I know he's fallen off the last couple of years, but at one point, this was one of the best linebackers in the league. So I want to at least bring this up. And wish him well at least because he was a great player at one point.
Oh yeah, him and Patrick Willis were a hell of a combination.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So he didn't play in 2008 after starting the final 10 games of 2017 with the Raiders, and those 10 contests were the only games in his career which he didn't suit up in the 49ers uniform. So named All-Pro first team 4 times, 3 Pro Bowl appearances, and as you kind of alluded to, he's at the center of dominant defenses that led the Niners to 3 straight NFC championships, starting in 2011. 709 tackles, 12.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions during his career with the Niners. So. And we'll bring Eric back in because I guess he got kicked out of the room and everything. Eric, any thoughts on the career of Navarro Bowman?
Navarro Bowman? No, not necessarily.
Okay.
He had an okay career. I mean, I don't think he's a Hall. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
No, I wasn't saying Hall of Famer. I was just saying this guy at one point. I don't think he had the longevity that you really need to be a Hall of Famer. Like, he was a very dominant linebacker for a good 3 or 4 years there.
I did have something else to bring up, though. I wanted to see if you guys saw it this weekend. Did you guys see the Mexican Butterbean knock out the champ?
Oh, my God, yes. Dude, that was a hell of an overhand right. That was a monster shot.
Man, that gave fat kids everywhere I don't know, a smile. Quarter chub. I was pretty awesome. You don't see that too often. That guy, he got knocked down early, came back. I mean, they say he's got quick hands, even though he looks a little butterbeanish. He's got some quick hands, and he knows what he's doing. He was 33-1 going into the fight. Nobody really knew who he was. He wasn't a household name. Everybody was kind of wanting the Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, big heavyweight fight, unify all the belts and everything. It was supposed to be the next big thing. This was supposed to be some tune-up fight. As far as I know, I think Ruiz fought in, April, and then, had gotten this fight, late, and, was yeah, I want it. And, he showed up and took it. So, kudos to him, man. That's good for him.
Yeah, that was definitely an impressive showing by Andy Ruiz there. I definitely give him that. I think we could all admit, probably not the biggest boxing followers in the world, but The news is out that the rematch clause has been triggered, so Joshua's going to get his rematch. Do we think Ruiz would be able to follow this up with his first title defense?
Probably not.
So.
I mean, from what they say, though, Joshua's supposed to be like the hardest puncher in boxing and this and that. Like, I don't know. I think it kind of caught him by surprise. I think he was sleeping on Ruiz. And I think for the second round here, or the, rematch, he's not going to be sleeping on him this time. And I think he's gonna put a stop to it early. So yeah, I think Ruiz should enjoy this while he has it.
No. All right. Well, I tell you what, Dave. I know you had wanted to get out of here at 9:30, so I do think we're gonna end the show a little early tonight. But the one thing I'd like to bring up real quick, we're gonna switch out of this, talk a little movies real quick. Anybody have any interest in seeing Rocket Man, the Elton John movie that came out this past week?
I mean, I can say that if when it's on TV, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to the theaters for that.
Okay, Eric?
Yes, I probably won't. I'm with Dave. I probably won't make it to the theater to see it, but I probably will catch it when I get a chance, when it comes out either on TV, Netflix, whatever. Yeah. I did, though, go see John Wick Chapter 3. And that was pretty badass. So, I don't know.
I'll tell you this.
I don't know if you guys like Wick, but he's a badass.
I'll tell you this, because I've seen both of them. I saw John Wick 3 a couple weeks ago, and I saw Rocket Man yesterday, actually. John Wick 3, I liked it. I don't think this series, I mean, to me, the first one is still the best. The third one I thought was all right. Did not like the ending. Did not like the ending of that. You know, they set up for a fourth one, and they already announced.
Oh yeah, they've already confirmed it.
Yeah, no, 2021, I think it's coming out. I don't see this series getting better with more installments. I really don't. Like, I think this third one was better than the second one. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up the quality in like a fourth or a fifth movie. I really don't. Though it is always cool to see Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne on the screen at the same time. Because you can't help but think of the Matrix movies when you do. So I like that. I will say this about Rocket Man. Rocket Man is a good movie. Watch Bohemian Rhapsody again instead. I like Bohemian Rhapsody better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even excited for Dark Phoenix. I mean, from everything I've heard, it sounds like it's going to be pretty damn disappointing. But,
yeah, they've done way too many reshoots.
Yeah, shout out to Fight for rooting for Master Chef Jr.
I will say this, Master Chef, nice thing. Yes, I am going to see Dark Phoenix at some point this weekend. I look at it as more of a I don't even really know why I'm seeing it because I know I'm just going to be disappointed. I've decided that if I don't come out of that movie wanting to punch someone, then it's a win. But I don't know if you guys heard this because I watch a lot of movie news related shows, and they had the press screening in LA for this movie last night. And apparently, the AMC that they went through the press screening, there were two separate screening theaters. And the fire alarm went off somewhere in the theater for like the last half hour of the movie. And it was a big clusterfuck situation where they were trying to fix it and the fire alarm's going off through the entire movie. So they had to shut down one of the screenings and then restart it after 20 minutes after they fixed the problem. But the fire alarm's still going off while the second screening is playing. And it was just massive. Not a good sign of things to come. And anytime you don't see reviews for a movie like this more than a week in advance of the release of the movie, the studio is afraid of what people will be saying about this movie. Which is why, I mean, you look at when the MCU puts out their movies, they got the press screenings a month before the movie, 3 weeks before the movie, you're already seeing reviews for it and everything. That shows they have confidence in the movie. And then you see something like this where they don't even have reviews out a week in advance. Disney is afraid of what people are going to say about this
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with it, but I don't even know if I'll spend money to go see it in the theaters.
Yeah.
I won't. If anything, I mean, what's going to get my money this summer, I'll be honest, what I'm looking forward to the most, I'm looking forward to The Lion King. I want to see the live-action Lion King. That's what I want to see.
I definitely want to see that more than Aladdin, so I'll give you that one. But no, you know what I'm looking forward to? It comes out in August. I want to see that the Fast and the Furious spinoff, Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh my God, that looks absolutely ridiculous. I've seen I saw the trailer for it when I saw John Wick. I mean, there doesn't look like one believable scene in that entire movie.
I don't care. I
mean, it looks ridiculous. It looks like a Rock movie. It looks like the Rock and Jason Statham movie. It is them to a T.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to be action-packed. I'm sure it's going to be crazy. But, I mean, come on. Like, it's talk about ridiculous. Out of control.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I think the best parts of the last Fast and the Furious movies were the scenes with The Rock and Jason Statham. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I think the chemistry and the interplay between the two of them, that's what I'm looking forward to. Yes, you're right. It looks totally ridiculous. I don't care, though. I don't need the rest of what's going on with Fast and the Furious. Give me those two. And when I saw the trailer, you got Idris Elba as a bad guy. That looks like something that could be very entertaining. So.
He's like a super soldier, apparently, or something.
Something like that. Yeah, something.
Yeah, he's a bad Captain America, apparently.
That's one way to put it. All right, guys. I think that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Shout out to my cousin David for coming back after what I know has been a rough couple weeks for him and his family. Thoughts and prayers with David. He lost his grandfather last week, so I want to give a shout out to Al Buzzio. Rest in peace to Al Buzzio. David, thank you for coming tonight. Always good to have you back, buddy. Dave Hastings, last words.
I mean, it's just always a pleasure to be here. Grateful for it, and hope you guys have a great night. And Cousin David, sorry for your loss.
Eric Tressler.
Cousin David, sorry for your loss. Always tough to lose anybody, any family member. And then shout out to Fife for hanging with us in the chat, hanging with us on the show too. Always appreciate having him there. Love you, buddy. See you soon. And yeah, that's it. Stay sweaty, guys.
All right. Thank you both for being here. Thanks to Fife and Cousin David again for being in the chat. That's going to do it for us. I am Mike Aguilar for Eric Tressler and Dave Hastings. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Stay sweaty, everybody, and we will see y'all next week.